We have three guests here. We've got Brother Hamzah, who has been very patiently waiting from Crawley. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you doing?
Wa alaikum, alhamdulillah. We've got Brother Shahinur from Wales and Sister Sumaya also from Wales. And Sister Sumaya is part of the TMV team as well. So Jazakallah khairan all of you for joining. It was getting lonely a little bit a little while ago. It was just me ranting at the comment section. But thankfully now we can all rant at the comment section. No, I'm kidding. So I want to begin by asking you, Brother Hamzah, Crawley, you've got three big mosques there, mashallah. You've got a fair Muslim population. And what was the strategy that you took to how to decide on a candidate? Because again, we've talked about how to build a team together. People talked about, start out with a WhatsApp group, reach out to other people, organize a meeting. You went through the same kind of situation in Crawley, right?
Yeah, so there's two big mosques in Crawley, and we kind of started off with the local elections. So when it just came to interviewing each candidate and then just seeing which one was the best fit for each ward. To be honest, with the local elections, we didn't have much to choose from. It was basically, Labour versus Conservatives and the Socialist Party. There were a few independents who we backed. But it was good we started at the local elections because we had a lot of learnings, and we took this into the general elections. So myself and the team, we looked at the local candidates we had, and it was your traditional Labour Conservative as well as your Lib Dems and Greens. We spoke with the Green candidate, and it was actually quite a funny conversation because I know the previous guest was talking very highly of them, but they mentioned, they're not really going to campaign in Crawley. That they don't even think they're going to get their money back. So we didn't really push on the Greens, and then the Lib Dems hadn't submitted a candidate, and I think they only submitted one on the very last day. So then it left with a third option, and it was a Workers' Party candidate, but she hadn't actually stood at this time. We were in communications with her, and we told her that this would be a really great chance for you to stand. There aren't any options here, and with your experience, you could obviously stand. And she actually has a very good CV. Her name's Linda Bamia. She's actually a revert sister, and she's lived in Palestine and Egypt. So the Palestinian issue was something very strong to her. Her husband was Palestinian, so it was something that was there and already. So it wasn't as if she's trying to strike political goals. This is what she really cared about, and when engaging with her and when we spoke with her, you could really tell this was what she was about. And the problem is when it comes to Liberal Democrats and Greens, they have a pro-Palestinian stance, but it's only up to a certain extent. When it comes to the Workers' Party, they will go further, and they'll go beyond, and they'll unequivocally support the Palestinian state. And that's what I really liked about working with the Workers' Party and kind of Linda Vamia. And it was a very obvious decision, and the community accepted it, alhamdulillah. The only obviously with everyone else, I'm sure we had problems with within our community. There were Labour supporters and Conservative supporters, which I'm sure everyone else can relate to.
Jazakallah. So talk us through those problems for a second. So you had a Workers' Party candidate, and it's difficult because you're going up against Labour, you're going up against Conservative, and I think it was complicated because the Conservative candidate was also Muslim.
Yes.
How much difference does that make? Because we found a lot of people emailing us and just saying that I'm the Muslim, why aren't you voting for me?
Right. Yeah.
Or how could you vote for a non-Muslim? Did you find that people were voting for a Conservative because he's Muslim?
It was actually a very big problem. So a lot of the Muslim population, just because of the way we are, we like to vote for our own, or it's more of a cultural thing, right? So yeah, apne banda hai. So this is one of my guys. He's a Pakistani, so there was that to deal with, and it was very difficult because when trying to fight of Labour were telling everyone, look, we know you traditionally voted Labour your whole lives, but now it's a completely different party. So we were fighting at this angle, but then now we've got a whole other angle, and we're dealing with people saying, no, this is one of us, our guys. We need to vote for him. And it was actually very tricky. There was a lot of people which still voted for him. It's a shame because when you look at the situation in Crawley, it was a Conservative stronghold, but the Conservative member had openly gone on a podcast and said he's stepping down and he thinks that Crawley is going to become a Labour seat. And it seems like they just put out the Muslim candidate because they knew they were going to lose. And when it came to the results, the Muslim candidate was closer to the Reform Party than actually competing to the Labour Party. So the margin between Reform and Conservatives was a lot smaller than between Conservatives and Labour. So it was a shame at the end. It was an uphill battle. They had obviously a lot of resources. Linda funded her own campaign. I have a lot of respect for this woman. She out of her own pocket. We printed our own flyers, and we all knew that we were on a budget, but we had the community and we had people supporting us. When it came to the local elections, I mean, with the socialists, right, we're not going to be as motivated to go knock on every door for the socialists who we only really are voting for out of a protest vote. But when it came to promoting Linda, we could see the passion she had. She was on the streets every single day, and because of that, it motivated the whole team to also join her. So we were door knocking door by door, and Alhamdulillah, there was an improvement, and you'd be very surprised on how quickly people will change their mind. You'll find a lot of stubbornness in the community, but also if you show people there's an alternative option, and they'll be quick to join you.
Jazakallah. Very, very important point. Again, another person saying knocking on doors makes a difference, because to be honest, if someone like myself, I'm very cynical, so I think knocking on doors, what are they going to do? They're going to slam the door in my face, right? Why would they even listen to it? Like, what would I listen to someone who knocked on my door? But you're right, people do listen, people do pay attention, and while it was an uphill battle, 2,400 votes from a standing start is not bad. And I think this was the case with a lot of candidates up and down the country who you can say that right now it feels like, oh, well, what was the point, right? What was the point? It might feel like that, but that's just looking at it during a landslide. And a lot of people who are saying that assume not every election is a landslide. In the next election, 2,407 votes are going to be very precious, I can tell you right now, right? And probably will be more. And people will be looking at those and they'll be eyeing it hungrily, and they'll be coming and knocking on doors and knocking on your door and saying, what can I do for the Muslim community, right?
It was actually really good, because we were actively, as the Muslim community in Crawley, engaging in the political system. The Labour candidate went forward and called it a genocide because he was trying to win back the votes that we were taking. And this is quite unique from a Labour member. You're not going to find many Labour members that cross this line, and the ones that do usually don't stay in the party for that long. But they were desperate. It was on polling day. They were still door knocking on Muslim households. They were door knocking on Muslim households. So we definitely, I think, ruffled a few feathers.
Good. Well, inshallah, you keep ruffling those feathers. You keep that team together, grow it. Let's go for the local elections, inshallah. Let's go for the next one, and we'll build. 5 years from now, inshallah, we will have a machine that will mean that that we'll be able to really make a huge impact, inshallah, in Crawley.
Inshallah.
Jazakallah khairan. Any last minute advice before I go to the Welsh? Any advice for the ones who haven't started up yet?
Sorry.
No, I was asking you, Hamzah. Any last minute advice?
Yeah, I had a few questions actually, which you can obviously answer later on in the show. You don't have to answer them straight away, but if you could just take a note. So when it comes to engaging with 14 to 18-year-olds, because obviously anyone 14 now will be eligible to vote in 4 years' time, is there a strategy we have in place for them? And then the other question is, what are we going to proactively do over the next 4 years? Because obviously, when it comes to election, a lot of the hype is going to die out. So, is there something we're going to keep in place going forward over the next 4 years? And also, funding was an issue for us, and I'm sure it is for a lot of other places. So, do we have a funding strategy that we can kind of put in place? And
Jazakallah. Yeah, those are three good questions. I can answer them very quickly right now.
okay,
Number
yeah,
one, 14-year-old, we have no strategy, but we should develop it. It's a very good idea. And I think that's where the community action groups will come in. Not that I'm aware of that we don't have a strategy with the 14-year-olds, but we should develop one. Number two, proactively, what are we going to be doing going forward? We are yet to decide that, because I think the new team that takes over TMV will probably be best placed to decide that. They say that TMV should be more transparent, or et cetera, et cetera. This is how there will be new people who should come in, and we're asking everyone to put themselves forward, inshallah, new blood to take it forward and come up with the ideas. But we do have some ready-made markers, right? We've got the local elections, the Scottish elections, and so on. The devolved assembly elections. These are ready-made markers for us. And finally, funding. You're right. There needs to be a plan put in place for that. Personally, I think the community will fund things that they think works. So if we put in the effort, the community funding will flow, inshallah. But we need to also help facilitate that. So jazakallah khairan. If you want to say, you can, but if you're heading off, let me know, inshallah.
I'm gonna head off. But if you feel lonely, shoot me a message and I'll join back.
I'm always lonely, bro. Assalamu alaikum. Right, we have